I'm Kelly Mitchell, and this is Women on Wine TV, a weekly online show celebrating wine and living your best life. We highlight and sip luscious wines while discussing lifestyle, travel, and wine, of course, filmed from our California and Washington studios and on location. We're peppering this show with tastemakers from all walks of life. Joining me today is my partner in wine, Deborah Trapin. Welcome to the show, Deborah.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
Fabulous, darling. It's so good to see you.
It's wonderful to be seen and to see you as well.
Awesome. And today's episode we're so excited about. It's crushing wine snobbery. You know the type, Mr. or Ms. Know-it-all, interrupting or controlling the wine conversation. So you're aware of how much they know about wine. They drip with elitism and revel in terms you may have never heard of. And it can be intimidating. It's certainly irritating to me. And at the very least, it's intrusive, right? How do you cope with them? We don't want to be rude. We're not that kind of people. And truly, a wine experience at its most fundamental is about having fun. Pleasure, enjoyment are the capital reasons to do it. So it's not how much you know about wine on a technical level. It's really how much you can enjoy wine and share that enjoyment with other people. So today we're reveling in tips to share with you so you can enjoy your wine and get this monkey off your back. We begin with a quote. Are you getting a visual monkey on back?
Yes.
We begin with a quote, Oliver Viveier. This is from Quora. I love that website. I note, for the record, I have had $30 bottles which tasted far better than $1,000 bottles. Much of the snobbery lies in simply being able to afford the bottle. Wow, right?
Oh, that is awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
Great mind. Yeah.
So the word for the show is snob. When you hear that word, you must sip whatever's in your glass. And on that note, what is in your glass today, my friend?
Well, darling, I have a Riesling in my glass, and this is actually from a local winery here called Savage Grace. I'm pretty sure that I've had Savage Grace, maybe their Pinot before on the show. I love this group, Michael Savage and Grace Hearn. So Savage and Grace is the name of the winery. And they're so down to earth. So I thought it would be fun to kind of mix the Riesling tends to be the Psalm's kind of favorite white, and they're super down to earth. The Riesling itself is nice and light. It's got tangerine, it's got lime, and one of the things that, of course, we're going to be talking about throughout the show is their last note on the Riesling is wet stone.
Oh my God, wet stone. Is that related to minerality?
I think it's related to minerality, and I think that I always think I haven't licked a stone. I mean, at least not in 30 years, but I know what it smells like. Like, I can smell that smell, but I don't really know what it tastes like.
Okay, is it slate or granite? I have to know.
It's Lake Washington.
I totally love that. Absolutely love that.
So,
okay, so
let me get their at Savage Grace Wine on Twitter, savagegracewines.com. And
yes.
This is great on the deck at summer, and I would probably just have it on little nibbles with goat cheese and some almonds. It doesn't need anything heavy by any means. It could, however, go really well with some spice Thai because of that tangerine and lime. So go either way.
Got it. Awesome. It sounds fabulous. I'll have to come to Washington so I can try some.
Yes.
Awesome.
What's in yours?
Okay. In my glass, I have the Criminal. Yes, the Criminal. And on the back of this Criminal bottle that is encompassed in yellow tape is what looks to be a wrap sheet. Can you see it? I absolutely adore this.
It looks like. Are you telling us something?
I think that this is what a rap sheet looks like because it says request for record check. I'm not telling you anything. I'm going to keep that all to myself. But about the wine, I will tell you something. This is a Dry Creek Valley Red blend. That is like a tongue twister. So we've got 40% Syrah in this delicious baby, 40% Zinfandel, and 20% Petite Syrah.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
It's delicious. So I get a little blackberry, a little bit of plum, and then there's a little spice on the finish, which is fabulous. And it's a little oaky, but not a bad oak. So I think that it's enjoyable. You know, when you get too oaky, it's not fun. So this is enjoyable. It's got a little vanilla in there too, and the reason that it's that I selected the criminal is because you have to take a look at this too. This is so funny. This is their cork.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
They've got somebody's head on there with height, and you know, so you can figure out who's wanted and at what height. But this lovely wine is very inexpensive. It's about $15 a bottle, so affordable. I would pair this with something like venison, which I don't get a lot of great venison, but perhaps since I'm on the mainland now, I will. Or lamb. I mean, it's just fabulous with lamb. So the reason that I selected the wine, The Criminal, is because I believe it is criminal to be a wine snob. Sip on that.
Sip on that. Well, you know, how do you know? Like, how do you define a wine snob? Like, what is a wine snob to you?
Was that a waterfall? Did you hear that?
I did, and I'll tell you later.
I love it. Okay, what is a wine snob? So I think that we've all run into them, and I know that the game is changing. I'm so thankful for that. But I think, like, if I look back in time to my earlier wine experiences, the profile might have been a 57-year-old Anglo-Saxon male, not to be, to categorize people, but a long time ago, you only saw male sommeliers, and the errors that they would, rush into, and the eyes that you would get when you didn't choose something over $60 a bottle were, to me, it felt like snobbery. So wine snobbery to me would be, somebody who's putting on airs and making others feel less important. How about you?
I would definitely, I think it's whenever somebody is kind of talking over where they know you're not comfortable. I think that what a sign of a great wine expert is somebody who loves wine so much, they cannot wait to share it and educate others. I think snobs are the exact opposite. They
totally agree.
One in the room. And
it's like the antithesis of a powerful, meaningful leader or relationship, right?
Totally. I think, I do love the word snob because it has this feeling, sip on that, it has this feeling to it that you automatically know. I think, give me an example of how you know you're with a wine snob. Like, what is something that you feel?
You feel inferior. You feel intimidated to let your thoughts out of your mouth. I mean, you feel like, well, especially if they bring up a word you don't know, you don't want to ask what the heck a terroir is, because it sounds like you're going to make yourself look like a jerk, or they're going to be a jerk to you.
Totally. It's like they want to make you feel inadequate. And so inadequate is the word I feel. And for me, I love to know things. I don't have to know everything, so I love to learn, but I love to know things.
Yes.
And so when somebody makes me feel, is trying to make themselves feel better by making me feel small, or whatever, that's when I know I'm in the presence of a snob. Because it's like, I think especially, as we are really getting involved in the wine industry, and we are just we're voraciously asking questions. We're so hungry for the knowledge that,
Yes.
there have been some Psalms we've met that are like, girls, sit down, let's open a bottle, and we're gonna dish. And others who are like, "Ta, you don't know what Verizon means." Ta. And it reminds me of the trip we took to Chimney Rock. I guess that was a little over a year ago. Remember Matt? He was so
Yes.
fantastic. He was
Matt is a rock star. He's a total rock star.
We need to go visit him.
We do.
I
I'll
remember-
put it on the calendar.
Yes, please do.
Matt, look out. We're coming to Chimney Rock again.
Right? And that feeling of looking at the grapes and seeing them turn and going, what is that? Like, what is going on there? Like, is that right? Is that what's It's just like a wealth of information. That's the opposite. And so
that's actually truly how you sell wine, is you tell people things that they otherwise wouldn't know.
So how do you deal with them? In other words, what do you do when you're with one?
Well, I have some techniques, and one of them is honestly, I think the more time you spend with your nose near the glass and sipping and saying, hang on a second, I think I'm getting something. Have another sip, swish it, take your time, and then just go, what's the first thing that's coming to you right now? Seriously, like that. And wait for them to get the answer and just say, are you a smoker? And leave it at that. Is that too terrible?
I love that. I have this little thing that kind of goes right along with that, of course. Pardon me, darling. I've left my Snobbery translator in my Jaguar. Let me go fetch it. But actually use the accent because it throws them off.
We want to hear this with the accent. Don't you dare withhold the accent.
Yeah, well, and that's just the fun part, right? You kind of have to knock them off their game a little bit and remind them, hey, we're all human here. We're all human.
Totally. I want to hear you say it in the accent. I'm not letting this one go. This is like more...
darling. I must have left my Snobbery translator in the Jaguar.
That's it. That's the one. I love it. So two great ways to disarm, disengage. I mean, there's so many ways that you can do it. You really need to choose something that's comfortable for you, but it's okay to say, I'm actually enjoying this with my friends and I hope you enjoy this and I'll see you later. I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways that you can do it, but any other favorite ways on your snarky, sassy quips for snobs?
I think one of the things that I've learned in all my years of working with executives is sometimes all they're looking for is just for you to tell them how fabulous they are and how smart they are. And so there have been times where I know that it is in my best interest, as far as I know they have great information to share with me, that I put the snark aside and kind of bring out like the little sensual sassy and like, you are just over the top brilliant with this. Would you mind if I took some notes? And then it's like puffery. Now it's not, they're not trying to impress me. Now they're teaching me something. And
so transitioning the conversation into learning
from trying to puff up like a peacock to, come back down to a level where you can actually teach me something. It doesn't always work, but I think there's some snobs kind of waver between the two. And I think every once in a while you can push them over to the light side, if you will.
Yes.
So that they're actually using their knowledge for good.
Exactly. And I think that we as people on the other side of the snobs can definitely ask more questions of them instead of them being snobby to us and telling us things. If we start digging, I mean, we've converted a lot of people in mid-conversation from the snob side to the other side. the good thing is there are so many more people coming into the sommelier space, first of all, and a lot of them are women. It's changing the game. And with the millennials coming up, the millennials don't need or want or will put up with the BS. So if you can't talk to them the way that they need to hear things, then you're losing customers. And it's really about, well, if you're selling wine, it's about it's about moving bottles, right? And you're not going to move bottles with people who you can't communicate with. And if you're simply a wine snob trying to, push your agenda forward, then what are you winning by making other people feel less than they are?
Yeah, for sure. I think that, if we could end on a note of how to kind of remind ourselves to not be that wine snob, because I think somebody who's moving from, say, Boone's strawberry wine might be intimidated. I'm not being a snob. So somebody who's moving from, the wine they drank in high school to maybe the next step, they may be intimidated by us, right? And we're not looking to intimidate. Oh my goodness, I really tickled your button. So I think it's reminding yourself to step back and think, are the words I'm using words that anyone would understand? So in other words, to terroir, like you were saying earlier, come on. Do you have to use that word with a wine noob? And
it's okay to use the word so long as you follow it with an explanation.
Exactly. And I'd actually start with dirt or earth or landscape and say, and in the wine world, they call that terroir.
Exactly.
Or what Verizon might be the, when they're just
harvest time.
They're just ripen. And so when you start to see the green turn to red, that's when it's ripening. And oh, by the way, this is what they call it. And so just think about who your audience is and avoid being the wine snob in the room. Avoid being the snob. That's too snob.
I love that. I need to make up for something that I neglected to do really quick. Remember this?
The criminal?
Yes. The criminal is at Truett Hurst on Twitter and truetthurst.com on the internet.
Who's Truett? Is that the winemaker or?
That is the wine company. Now, these guys are in Dry Creek Valley, and you're going to see me bring another wine bottle out of theirs in a future episode. I really think that they're catering to the tongue-in-cheek fun side of wine drinking, and you'll hear more about that in a future episode, so stay tuned.
I love it. Any other little tips on seeing, sniffing out, putting them in their place, not being a snob?
It's just, I think it's really about being in the moment, being present, and remembering who you're with always, because this life is not about putting people down or pushing yourself up at the expense of others. It's really about how we can all help each other up.
I love it. I think that's so beautiful. And I'd love to say to all of the wine noobs out there, never fear asking a question. If you come across a wine snob that cannot be turned, walk away and ask someone else the question. There is always someone, including us, by the way. That's a wrap. And so if you've got questions, you've got stories to share about the crazy snobs in your world that you are trying to figure out how to get them in line, you can talk to us. We are at Women on Wine TV on Twitter, on Instagram. You can pound Women on Wine on any of the social channels, and we will find that conversation and we will have a chat with you. So until next time, we wish you delicious wine in your beautiful glasses, maybe even a Juliana glass like we're drinking from, and fabulous conversations along the way. Bisous.
Bisous, and a serious lack of snobbery. Put down that Boone's Farm.
Crush the